Welcome to the first episode of HR Untangled, real HR talk for business owners. In our first podcast, let's start with some intros. Helen?
So I'm Helen Dawson. I'm the owner and principal HR consultant of Dawson HR.
Zoe?
Hello, my name is Zoe and I'm a HR consultant.
And I'm Nina. I look after the administration here at Dawson HR. So let's start with the simple. What is HR really?
Well, that's a loaded question. So HR has lots of things. I tend to describe it as hiring and firing and everything else in between. What's in between can be a variety, but we tend to refer to it actually as the employee life cycle. So that can be anything from recruitment and right through to exit. And I think that one of the things that most people don't think about actually is that an employment relationship always has a beginning, a middle and an end. There's always an end, and it's not always because somebody's dismissed, somebody retires or whatever it is, but it always does come to an end. So so I'll let you cover what's in the employee life cycle. But there's quite a few elements, isn't there?
I think it starts from the attraction for when you want to put the advert out to attracting the right person, and then onboarding the person, right through to their development, what they want to achieve while they're with you, and then ultimately training, development, going on through to the exit process and when they decide to leave. Yeah,
and I think it's fair to say it looks different for every person as well, doesn't it?
It does. Everyone's got their own careers and what they want to achieve, and it depends on the organisation or business as well.
Yeah. And sometimes I guess that person's behaviour and whether they're right for the business, because I think that's a lot of things that we see, isn't it, that people, they join an organisation often with the best of intentions from both sides, but sometimes it just doesn't gel so well. But then we also see lots of really good stuff as well. So,
we do.
Yeah.
So that's a really good point, using experts who know your business, which is a good thing. So why bother putting all of this in place then?
So, well, quite simply, it's a legal requirement to have certain HR documents and policies. I think a lot of companies think that they don't need to have a qualified person. One of the things that we quite often see is that you have somebody within an organisation who takes responsibility for HR, but they're not always, they don't have the expert knowledge and the legal knowledge. They're kind of like, well, we've confirmed their hours, we've confirmed what they get holiday-wise, but actually in law, there are certain things that we have to stipulate in a document. So it's really important to get that expert's help from the start.
So there are people, so for example, in small companies where HR isn't a main responsibility for somebody.
It's often an add-on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is fine, and it does work to a point. But I think there is a point where really they need some sort of HR support. And I think really as soon as somebody's got their first employee, it's important that they engage and just check that they're doing everything they're legally required to do.
Okay, so what are the actual legal requirements then?
So as a basic minimum, there's a legal requirement to have what they call a statement of employment particulars. And most people refer that to a contract of employment without getting too technical. Yeah. A statement of employment particulars is usually contained within a contract of employment, and it confirms things like their hours of work and their pay and when they're paid and all the main terms. Most people expand that out into a contract, which then includes things like it could be restrictions on employment, terms about other employment, all sorts of things, data protection, health and safety. I could go on and on. So actually having that in place from day one is a legal requirement. So if people don't have that in place, they're already in breach of legislation. So on top of that, people need to have a discipline and grievance procedure. So that's something that I always describe as the grievance is for employees to tell us we're doing something wrong. The discipline procedures for us to tell them they're doing something wrong. So, but it's important to have those in place as well. The thing that I often see people miss is an employee privacy notice, which is required under the GDPR. So that's often missed. So that's really important to include that as well. So have I missed anything, Zoe? Can't think.
Right,
I feel a bit nervous, checks. So I'm like, I can't remember what I'm supposed to be saying.
The right to work checks. Right. It has to be done for all individuals, and that has to be done at least before the day one, just to ensure that we have got everything ticked up, because they are fines. And the fines are quite large.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And again, one of the things we see quite regularly actually is people doing what they think is a right to work check, but there's an actual process and a legal process for that. So we see often that people use the wrong documents and
all the time.
So what would be an example of what you would expect to see for a right to work check then in that case?
Obviously a passport could be the first option. If they don't have a passport, then obviously a birth certificate with proof of national insurance as well.
Okay.
Yeah. And then obviously they might have a share code if they are from a foreign nationality.
That's just what I was going to ask about overseas employees.
Yeah. So it's not quite as straightforward. We often see people with driving licenses, don't we? Saying, I've got the right to work, I've got the driving license. And we're like, well, that means they can drive.
Yeah.
But other than that, there's not really anything else they can do work-wise.
And often with the share code as well, they can be quite tricky, depending on, obviously, it's obviously getting the actual code correct first. But then obviously it might only be valid for 3 months, might only be valid for 6 months, or it might be valid for 2 years. It depends on the individual.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the reasons that we offer a starter package to clients that we work with, because there's quite a lot of things that are even just the basics to get right. And I think what's important for us as an HR consultancy is that we take the pain away from people. We don't want employers to have to think about that, because it's our job to do that. So we do a starter package that includes all of that, and we'll do a bit of a health check as well and make sure that they're meeting all the requirements. You know, that they've thought about things like the national minimum wage, for example, which generally people do because they're accountants and bookkeepers and wage people look after that. Yeah. But it's good just to check that off and go, yes, we have thought about that. And yes, we have thought about breaks. Yes, we've thought about holidays and all the legal requirements that are contained with employing somebody.
So when's the right point in time for a business owner to think about bringing in HR support?
Yeah. Well, we'd say probably right from day one. As soon as they start to think about employing somebody, that's the point in time. It's interesting about the right to work checks, because just thinking about that's stuff that should be done before somebody starts. And often people will engage us after they've already got an employee, or actually many employees. So, you know, because I think business owners quite rightly think about running the business, you know, and staffing up accordingly with that. And then the HR stuff tends to slip down the list because they're just focusing on running the business, which is right, but they need somebody like us to take that pain away from them. But certainly as soon as they start to think about employing somebody, and certainly once they've got somebody actually on their payroll, then that's the point they should be engaging with somebody like us.
So what can we offer as consultants as opposed to an in-house person?
Yeah.
I think it's that personal touch, and obviously looking at it from a different viewpoint as well. You know, sometimes you might have the blinkers on, or you might just see one side, whereas we can offer the whole approach and the whole view of it.
Yeah. And often, you know, in-house people or employers tend to have in-house HR people when they get to a certain size. I would say it's generally on the larger size. Maybe when somebody gets to about, I would say, 50 employees above, they probably need somebody even on a part-time basis that's really looking after HR. Because actually there's an awful lot of admin involved in HR as well. You know, holiday requests and goodness knows, appointments, medical appointments, you know, sickness issues.
Maternity.
Maternity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, just absence generally. Yeah, there's a lot of that sort of thing involved. So I think once employers get to that sort of stage, the you know, probably best place to have somebody in-house. But often we support in-house HR teams as well. Maybe that the business can't afford somebody who's got an awful lot of experience. So they may have somebody who's younger in their HR career. You know, because we're consultants and we operate on a more experienced level, we can go in and support that team and actually on some occasions coach and mentor them as well. So but I think probably up to 50 employees is where consultancies like ours would sit. But that doesn't mean we can't support larger employers. But actually the benefit for small businesses is that they can pick up and drop us as they want as well. So there's no no salary every month. You know, it's like if you want something, you pay us. If you don't want something, you don't pay us.
So pay as you go.
Pay as you go, absolutely. And we do quite a lot of that. You know, we do retainers as well. You know, there's people who do need things from us all of the time and regularly. But there's a lot of businesses that we work with actually that are, you know, we might hear from them 1 month and then we don't hear from them for several months. And it's really, I think it's amusing because clients are often apologetic when they ring and they're like, oh, I'm really sorry I haven't been in touch. And I'm like, no, that's okay, because it means you're good.
Everything's going well. So, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't want you to be in touch with me every week if it's a headache for you. So, so you know, that's, like I said, there's a tipping point, and that might be different for each business, but I would say generally, you know, working with somebody like us, we can give that as you say, that external approach, that overall, almost a helicopter view. And again, we've got no vested interest in politics in the workplace.
Yes.
You know, so we can give a real life view and an honest view of what we think as well, which I know some clients do particularly like. So, yeah. I think I was talking to one a couple of weeks ago, actually, and I said to him, I said, I'm really sorry if that's blunt. And he said, no, it's okay. I like your bluntness. And I was like, phew. Okay. So, yeah.
So what's the funniest thing that you've heard HR described as?
So, well, there's probably a lot that we can't actually say, you know, wouldn't like to put on camera, shall we say. So I quite like the fun police. You know, I think, it's one that often springs to mind. I sometimes use that as well, saying, look, I'm not the fun police. Just want everything to work well. So, especially around Christmas party time, that can be difficult. I think, you've probably heard a few. You've worked in lots of different places, Zoe, as well.
Yeah, I've heard of it as called Switzerland.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. Totally neutral.
Keeping it neutral, absolutely.
It's a good one.
The Terminator as well.
Yeah.
The Terminator,
The Grim Reaper.
The Grim Reaper, I've heard that one, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I had a story actually when, because earlier in my career I did quite a lot of redundancies, unfortunately, and there was one particular town which locally, so shall remain nameless, shall we say, and I went this particular day to do some redundancies, and I went into the co-op because I thought I'm going to have a busy day, I'm not going to have a chance for lunch, I'll pick myself up some lunch. And I saw an ex-employee who had made redundant in the last round. And I said, oh, hi. You know, she was a very nice lady. I said, oh, hi. And she said, oh, I heard you were in town.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. Okay. And then she smiled and I was like, okay, I think she means that in jest.
A nice way. Yeah.
So, but yeah, we do have a bad reputation. I think, I've always found that HR style is really important, actually, and that can often determine your nickname. I've always been described, or people have described me to my face, I should say, as firm but fair. And I've always worked certainly on the basis of treating people with respect. And I find that really helps. How would you describe your style?
I think personal to the individual.
Yeah.
But again, like firm but fair.
Yeah. So,
the quiet assassin.
Yeah, quiet assassin. Silent assassin, yeah.
It is.
Yeah. So, it's... there's a lot of. I think you've got to have a good sense of humour in HR as well. To. And employees. I think if you treat employees with respect, I think people generally are quite accepting of what we do, and and it's not always bad stuff.
No.
We mentioned about the life cycle earlier, and we talked. I suppose the negativity often comes at the end of the life cycle. Whereas actually, we do a lot of supporting, a lot of welfare. We look after people, and we help employers look after people in the roles we do now.
Yeah.
People have been off sick for a period of time, and employers don't always know what to do.
Yeah.
Or think they should be doing something, or want to, and just look for us with a bit of advice. Again, some of the things that we'll champion are things like employee assistance programs, cash plans where people can access things like osteopathy and dental, and thinking of that kind of well-being and the three pillars of the mental, physical, financial. So we often give a lot of advice on that as well. So some of the more, I want to say pink and fluffy, because that's kind of what people describe it as, the pink and fluffy side of HR. But actually that's a really nice part of the role. So it's not always the bad things. No. And we tend to get the bad names because of some of the difficult stuff we do.
Yes.
But that's absolutely not always the case.
No.
It's not, So I think we'll probably think of lots of examples of good stuff as well.
So I'm sure there's plenty of stories that we could probably write a book about some of these stories.
I think most HR people say they could write at least one book. It's difficult because I think one of the things that we're good at HR people is being very discreet.
We are.
So especially in an area where everybody knows everybody.
Yes.
Small
businesses.
Yes.
In the local community where everybody knows everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. But I think we're pretty good at that. I actually blame HR, and having many years in HR, I've had quite a bad memory. And I think it's because generally speaking, I tend to forget things or try, I put them in the back of my mind. And that,
filing cabinet in the back of your brain.
All sorts of things, but it's nice. And there's always nice stories to think about as well, I think, isn't there? So,
So what about the human side of HR?
Okay, well, we've talked quite a lot about, what we do and whatnot, but actually one of the things I really enjoy about HR consultancy particularly is working with lots of businesses. You get to work with some fantastic businesses that actually we would never know existed. You and I were talking actually on Friday, weren't we, about a business, and you were like, my God, this is so interesting.
It is.
I'm like, I know, isn't it cool? And, and we get to really support those entrepreneurs, with their journey as well. Because actually running a business is really lonely. And often the HR person is the person who, they confide in, I guess.
Yeah.
So if you find that as well, Zoe.
Yeah, I do. And obviously, we get to work with some fabulous businesses across the area and, county-wide and UK-wide. And you do get to, work with some industries that I never thought I'll get to work with.
Yeah, yeah. There's one of the things I find, I was saying to you actually earlier, that it's interesting how many people you get to know.
You do, yeah.
And, I've obviously been, doing consultancy for about 4 years now. And actually, I impress myself at actually how many people I know. Somebody says something, I'm like, oh, yes, I know somebody who can do that. And then somebody says something else, I'm like, oh, yes. I know somebody who can do that. And it's really interesting. And it's just, I just find it so super interesting. And you get right into the depths of businesses as well. You see their pain points. But then you help them get to a good point.
You see that journey.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and I think people really appreciate that. I think actually in consultancy businesses, it feels different, I think, as an HR person. I don't know how you found that, Zoe, because obviously, you've been doing consultancy just a few months, really.
Yeah, a couple of months now.
Yeah.
I think it is interesting to see how, you go in and you help a business and you just think you're just doing the same old task that you've done, forever. But for them, it's a massive problem or a massive job.
Yeah.
And it just feels so good that you can help them with it.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, one of the clients that you're working with at the moment, that's exactly the case. Yeah. And it's interesting because she's been working with a national HR consultancy. And she's found that they kind of give very textbook advice. Not that we would ever shy away from doing everything very textbook, but that's not always the right approach.
No.
And I think she's found it quite frustrating in that she's not had any...
Yeah, she wanted more practical advice.
Like hands-on.
How do I do it?
Yeah.
Not, okay, what I need to do, but how.
How do I actually speak to that person?
Yeah, what do I need to include? What do I need to say?
Yeah.
So, guiding that through that process, through the meetings with her, she's found it really good.
Yeah.
And now we've got 4 or 5 meetings.
yeah. But it's good because she will learn from that as well.
Yeah,
and actually it won't be as daunting next time. Because I think that... Again, business owners shy away from addressing issues because it's uncomfortable, it's difficult.
It's not
and
the norm.
because they're so close to the matter as well.
Yeah.
That's because for small businesses, their employees become almost like a family to them as well.
Yeah.
So you know yourself how difficult it can be to have that conversation with a family member, never mind somebody you're paying to work for you. So
I think it's the fear as well of what happens if it goes wrong.
Yes.
What happens then? Whereas we can hopefully avoid that, but then guide them through the process and sort out the matter.
Yeah. I think we see quite often people who've probably got issues that are either further down the line than they should be, or just have been completely ignored. Because it's just too difficult. Yeah. And if you think that a business owner starts a business or an entrepreneur starts a business because they've got an idea and they've got a business, doesn't mean that they know how to deal with people.
No.
It doesn't.
No.
We only know that because that's our trade and that's what we do. But actually it can be, difficult even just to have the conversation. And I wish I had £1 for every time I've said to somebody, well, should we just talk to them? And let's have a conversation. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's often the right way, isn't it? Yeah. So
do we want to do myth busting and a tip of the week?
Yeah. So what myth have we got?
Driving license. I think we've already
covered it.
We've discussed that one already. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Zoe, did you have one?
No.
Okay. Helen's got another one.
I was going to say I've got a bit of a myth actually, and we've probably covered it as we've gone along, but probably that people don't need HR. And I think the world has changed a little bit, and I think that HR is topical. I mean, if you think, crikey, we were talking earlier about the Bright HR case.
Yes.
That actually isn't a very good example for us as HR people. So Bright HR and National HR Consultancy have been sued by one of their own employees, who is suing them for discrimination and won.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about awkward.
Yes.
Yeah. I'd like to go to all the bright HR people and go, customers and go, well, actually, if you work with somebody like us,
yes.
we're just, people go with nationals because they think that they, that, I don't know, I suppose they're better than everybody else, but actually we're experienced people and we can do it in a very realistic and pragmatic way. So I think there's that myth that people think they don't need HR, but certainly I think we've talked today about that. And I think my tip would be just really keep it simple. And again, the way that we tend to work is, simple as possible. And again, using the example of, a national company, I can think of a client that I've worked with who rang me, a local client rang me and said, I'm with a national company. They've told me to do this, 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 and this. It just feels very long-winded. And I said, well, should we just get the guy in for a chat and see what's going on? And he came in for a chat and we sorted it out and they moved on. Yeah. So it just shows the value of people like us just being able to kind of cut through all of that and go, actually, let's just keep it simple and let's just keep it pragmatic and get to the point that you need to get to as quick as possible. Yeah.
So top tip for today is to get your HR support early.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So that's a wrap for our very first podcast. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Nina, for keeping us on track.
I hope I did well.
You did.
Next time, we're going to be talking about the Employment's Right Bill.
Yeah.
What's happening, how it's going to affect business owners, how we can help.
Yeah. Huge topic coming up. So,
we'll break it down.
Yeah, break it down. It's fast moving as well, isn't it?
It is.
So,
it's always changing.
Yeah. So we're going to have to do quite a bit of research to see exactly where we are right now.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. So I'm Nina. This has been HR Untangled, real talk for business owners, and we'll see you next time.